ladies.
You just listen to the old Pork Chop Express here now and take his advice on a dark and stormy night when the lightning's crashing and the thunder's rolling and the rain.
Greetings, one and all, and welcome to Mornings of Mischief's review of Cobra Kai. I'm your host, Stone Loki. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody out there doing today? I hope you are doing well. What a season of Cobra Kai in season 5. I am absolutely blown away. There may be some spoilers here this morning, folks, but man, what a awesome show. What a awesome show it was, and I cannot wait to share it with you guys. Good morning today, Bob. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
Heck
Just
yeah.
drug my ass in here at the last minute.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Good morning, man. I'm glad you're doing well. We've got Paulie from the Latino Slant in here, but his mic is muted. Oh, there he is.
Hey.
What is up? Good morning, Paulie. How are you doing?
And a happy good morning to everyone in Valhalla, man. I'm excited. Only you could get me up this early, and only it could be about Cobra Kai, man. So
what a show. What an absolute show. So Paulie was the first person I messaged when I was watching this, because in episode 1, Johnny and his boy are about to kick some ass and they start playing music from Desperado, and I was jumping up and down. I'm back the part. Holy shit. I'm jumping up and down in my chair because they're playing music from Desperado, and Robert Rodriguez is one of my favorite directors. So hearing that and hearing that kick off while they're in Mexico, I was like, holy crap, that is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it was funny because it was you and Tom from Midnight's Edge that text me in the middle, or whenever you did you text me in the middle of the night? I think it was that Tom
No, it was in the middle of the day. It
because
was in
you
the
were like,
middle of the
yeah.
day.
Tom's like, "Are you watching it?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm asleep, mofo. I'm asleep. I'll watch in the morning. Shut up. Don't tell me nothing."
Yeah,
And then,
I think Tom got up that night and watched it all the way through, just about.
oh God, he was like prolific with his shorts. Yeah, yeah, it was fantastic, man. And me and Romy binged the whole season together the other day. And so
Oh.
on episode 1, when she saw that, she's like, "Oh, I love it," because that is now like a classic canción the mariachi we're talking about, and which was a song featured in Desperado, and they use it in Cobra Kai. the the only thing we were like, why is this guy Australian? He should be a Mexican. What the fuck's going on? Like, why are you trying to be nice? Like,
Hey, mate, well, you're going to give me money while I'm in Mexico. I went down to Mexico and I started robbing little kids of their lunch money.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like, come on, it's all right. It's okay. There's good and bad Mexicans. It's all good. Maybe they were like, well, we're already going to make Miguel's dad look like an ass.
And I've got another panelist I'd like to
Right.
bring up here. He's just a little late. What is up, MB Geek? How are you doing? Maybe he's not there. Maybe he's not ready.
He's here,
Maybe
but he's
worked
not
for
here.
He's here. But he's
Sorry, I was just heating up the coffee.
not. Oh, you're good. You're good. Good morning. How are you doing?
Coffee in my excellent Stone Loki mug.
Nice. That's one of the OG mugs too. That's one of the original
Nice.
mugs.
Yeah.
It's got
What's
the
up,
white
brother?
line down it.
Yep. Yeah, I still have it. And thankfully, it hasn't broke yet. We had a few coffee mugs break a little while back, but it survived.
Yeah, you're looking good, brother. Looking good.
I'm actually a little bit late to this party. I didn't start watching Cobra Kai till the last season, and then I binged 4 seasons all the way through.
It's worth the experience.
Yeah.
It really is worth the experience.
Dave G Sound, who's been a member for 18 months, says, Paul Bay! That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Good to be back. It's always good to be back with Loki, man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. You know what? It's always good to be back with Cobra Kai, too. I absolutely, man, I love this season. I loved it just as much. I would have liked to see Tori kicking a little more ass, though. She did some badass stuff in this episode, or in this season. She did. Her being that villain, was it last season or the season before? Her coming after
Sam.
LaRusso's kid, Sam was just a man. That was like, it was like Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers. I mean, she was gunning for Sam, and I fell in love with her. I absolutely fell in love with her. If all we had got was that, I would still love her just as much as I do. If all we got was her coming after Sam, because it was just Terminator, Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, that she was hunting Sam throughout that whole season. I loved it.
But in a tank top. Let's not forget
tank top.
what a looker Tori is.
Well, she is in her 20s in real life, so it's okay.
I see you. I don't know why you gotta be mentioning age, man. She's just like anyways. she's and that's that. I mentioned that because the show is not afraid to be OG, to have good looking dudes, hot chicks, being non-PC, kicking ass, and
That machismo.
Oh yeah.
I was trying to think of a word to attach to this season. I would call this in all the seasons of Cobra Kai, I call this the season of healing, because I felt like a lot of healing happened in this season between a lot of characters. In fact, one character I didn't even think we'd see again. I was totally shocked to see, well, spoiler here, Mike Barnes show back up. That I did not see coming.
I'm glad they brought him in. I am glad they brought him in, and that he was different. He's a different character. All these people have changed. That's the like huge thing. Okay, yeah, they hold on to some baggage, but look at Johnny's life when this show started. I mean, he's losing his place to live. His car's dying. He can't even like cook himself a meal. He goes home and throws some bologna on the stove, and that's what he's eating. Look how his life changed from Karate Kid to this. I mean, he was the rich boy. He had all the toys. He was cruising for ladies. Now the women don't want anything to do with him, and he changes. He has changed, and he changes over the course of the last 5 seasons too. This show is very much about how these people's lives have changed, but the baggage they hold on to is still there. That includes Daniel. That includes his wife. His wife's got baggage. You find out about in this. I thought that was okay. I'm getting a little deeper appreciation for Daniel's wife because she's got baggage we didn't know about.
Well, I thought it was also interesting that we find out, one of the other characters, the one girl that Danny was going to, or Larissa was going to date in Cobra Kai, in Karate Kid 3, turns out to be her sister, Auntie Joe, basically. And I thought, holy crap, my wife and I were watching, we're like, wait a minute, we recognize this girl. And then they do the little flashback show, and it's like, holy crap, it is her.
Yeah, that's Amanda's sister. Yeah.
It's a sister or cousin? It's a relative.
It's a relative of some kind.
I thought I heard cousin. I don't think it was. But either way, I loved how they connected all that. I honestly didn't recognize her until they showed the flashback. I was like, oh damn.
Now she might have been cousin, and just the kids refer to her as Auntie Joe. It's not uncommon.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool that they've literally brought back every single character except for one in all the movies. And it looks like with season 6, which is going to wrap it up, they'll still have another season left to bring Hilary Swank in.
I was wondering, I was going to say that would be interesting to see Hilary Swank, and maybe even, and I cannot think of his name, the guy who played her antagonist in that movie. You know him, his acting. He's been on The Shield. He's been on...
Michael Ironside.
No, not Michael Ironside.
Character actor.
I was thinking, oh God, the guy who played.
I would love to see her come in and take on Kim Da-eun, the new chick that came in for Cobra Kai. I would love to see her come in and take her on.
I could see that.
And we've got a $10 super chat from Durkoon. Wife and I binged the season in one day. For the title of best ongoing show, what is even the competition? There is none. No. I'd watch more current shows if any were worth it. Taking any recommendations. Proust. Thank you so very much, Durkoon, for your $10 super chat, brother. You guys keep the fires burning bright here in Valhalla, and this one's just for you, brother. Wake up with a Spartan skull.
Spartans! What is your profession?
No, I can't. I cannot think of anything going on today that, as far as ongoing show, I'm kind of liking House of the Dragon, but that's a totally different topic than this.
That's a good parallel.
Time and time again.
But that's that's actually a very good parallel, because it's working off of an existing IP. And they're not bringing. What's interesting about House, and real quick, is that it's none of the old characters, obviously, because it's 200 years in the past. But it is they're inhabiting the world, So, we're invested, and yet a lot of new stuff. Cobra Kai, it's kind of the same thing after you're revisiting this old IP, and what they masterfully done is over 5 years, over 5 seasons, made us care about I would say most, if not all, of the new characters besides the
Yes.
legacy characters. Yeah.
Yes,
Yes. I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah,
When
they do them all justice. The old originals, but the newer ones, they bring them along, and they give give them an arc, and they stick with the arc. It might might not be every episode, but you see them all progressing, year by year by year.
when my wife and I were watching, we started watching season 5, and I told her when it was coming out, and there's a good story about how we got started on Cobra Kai, but I'll say that later.
Mhm.
But she wanted to spread this out. She didn't want to binge it at first. That's what she said. And I said, okay, that's fine. So Friday we watched 2 episodes, and I could tell she wanted to watch more. But I'm like, okay, we got stuff to do. We got to
Yeah.
take care of things. Saturday rolls around. I put on a pot of coffee. I make breakfast. And I'm like, okay, here's breakfast. Now let's go watch Cobra Kai. She goes, oh, you had ulterior motives. I'm like, well, yeah, maybe. So I was like, let's watch 3 episodes. Let's get halfway through the season. So 3, 4, 5, and then my wife just after episode 5 is like, look, we're just going to have to finish this. I'm too invested now.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. We finished episodes 3 through 10. I mean, I'm going to do a comparison here, and this is somewhat different. She-Hulk is supposed to be a 30-minute show, and it's so short in its time. You have like a minute and a half of previously with the intro, then you have like 7 minutes of credits, and the show is just kind of silly in its own way, but it's so short you really feel like they're rushing. Whereas in Cobra Kai, you have, a 35-minute show, but it's very tight. The story is good. They know their pacing. They know what they're doing with these characters. They know how they're going, and they pace it so well that it doesn't feel like a 30-minute show.
Well,
Yeah.
the first season, and then maybe even the second season, they used to be even shorter.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they just got their formula down, and they haven't veered from it. I would say my biggest problem, which is kind of a small problem in a way, but I feel like in season 4 they really suffered from just having too many characters, and the ones that we really cared about, they stopped writing for them for a season. That's why for me, season 4 was such a letdown, and season 5 was back on the money. I want Sam, I want Miguel, I want Tori, I want Robbie, and I don't need any other new characters.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I got to have Hawk. Hawk is probably.
Oh yeah, no. I would
Yeah.
completely agree with that. First season, Hawk. When he took that gi off in the first season, and speaking, we're gonna talk about the first season for a minute, but when he took that gi off, and you heard that, I was like, yeah, that's my boy. You're my boy, Blue. He had that blue mohawk. I was just, I lost it. Let's talk about the fact that people did not want this show. Netflix didn't want this show. They shopped it on Hulu. Hulu didn't want this show. It was YouTube Red that was coming out that had absolutely no content coming out that was like, yeah, let's do it. We'll promote YouTube's own streaming service, which is, I mean, God, I don't know why they don't do that more. YouTube Red just doesn't exist anymore. I don't know why they changed to something else. It merged to something else.
It's just YouTube TV now.
Yeah. And I haven't seen anything come out of YouTube TV that is anything close to Cobra Kai. But nobody wanted this. And a couple of seasons later, Netflix is going, gimme. Because of the strong showing. It's such a strong showing. People love this show. It speaks volumes when no network wants to do it. They get a chance on YouTube Red, which turns into YouTube TV. And now everybody's like, come and do it for us. Come and make the show on our platform.
And what's interesting is that it's not a bunch of nobodies that were trying to get the show greenlit. You know, you had everyone from the executive producers, the new guys, and Will Smith and Macho, Zabka. They were all, you know,
They were all on board for
knocking on doors, trying to get this thing produced. You know, that's why I always think it's fascinating, you know, when a show becomes a hit, just like what it took just to get it made. You know, there is a TV comedy show that I do want to recommend. Someone asked for binge recommendations. That show, it had 11 no's before Hulu took it on. It's a comedy called This Fool. 11. Imagine being denied 11 times before. I would have given up after the second or third. Let's do a new TV show. But that's the same thing that happened with Cobra Kai, you know. And yeah, man,
some of the best shows people have not had faith. I mean, you were talking about OG Star Trek, original Star Trek in the 60s. Nobody had faith in that. He got no's, and it wasn't until Desi Lu picked it up that they got but you're gonna have to redo this pilot. You're gonna have to remake this pilot and give us something less brainiac intellectual. And they did, and it was good, and they got greenlit, and they got 3 seasons.
Thank you, Lucille Ball.
Yeah.
One of the story, how it goes, my wife getting into Cobra Kai. My wife had seen the original Cobra Kai, or the original, I keep wanting to say Cobra Kai, the Karate Kid movies. And I was apprehensive about this at first when I heard this was getting greenlit. I was like, is this going to be some kind of parody, or, you know, are they just going to make fun of it? I really wasn't sure. And then YouTube dropped the first 2 episodes for free. And I watched them and I was like, oh shit, this is actually good. So I went ahead and did something I don't normally do. I was like, yeah, sign me up for a month. I'll pay $5 to watch the rest of this. And I called my wife, who was stationed in Turkey for the year at that time. And I'm like, hey, and my wife and I, we do not watch a lot of shows together, and we do not recommend a lot of shows to each other. So when we do that, we do it because we really believe they will enjoy it. So I recommended to my wife. I gave her and I said, hey, log on to mine, log on here, do this. I had the kids, so I only watched 2 episodes, and that was on a Friday. Saturday rolls around. My wife calls me up from Turkey. She's like, where are you at on Cobra Kai? I'm like, I haven't finished anything past the 2nd episode. She goes, you need to hurry up and finish. We need to talk about this.
So Mr. Tickle Trunk brings up an absolutely wonderful point. He says, Amanda LaRusso is now one of the best TV wives in TV history. She doesn't take Daniel's shit, but she learns so much about Silver. She's all in. She's one of the best characters in the show. She's never taken Daniel's shit. She's always been the one that's like, nope, we ain't doing this. We ain't doing none of this shenanigans. She's the same way with Sam. It's her personality. It's her personality.
Really is. Oh, yeah. She is yeah.
Good morning, Saggy Melons. Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, me and her agree on that.
Chosen is GOAT.
I
you know what? I never imagined that we would see Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence, even Johnny Lawrence, standing together. The fact that Danny starts this season out side by side with Chosen, wow, that is something, you know, live or die, man, die, honk. Man, I never, ever saw that coming. And the fact that they brought back so many good people this season, not just Chosen, but Mike Barnes. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
What it's done with, especially with Chosen, which I absolutely loved. I thought he was the best of the characters to come back in. And we got so much on his past and him talking about things like, what happened after that fight. Him and Johnny even talking a little bit to each other about, that one day, that one fateful day, and how they had to overcome that. And Johnny or Danny and Chosen, they really developed a bond between them that I was rather impressed with, surprised, and very grateful for, because it showed, hey, he grew up. And we have to remember, in the Karate Kid movie, they were kids.
Yep.
Kids grow up.
Do you guys agree? Arwen makes an interesting point here, but would you guys agree? We'll go around the room, that this show can stand completely on its own without seeing the original movies. We'll go Paulie, Dave, Bob, and Big Geek.
I think it would be. I think it would be different. It's definitely entertaining enough, but I think it would. Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. It probably could. It's just that it doesn't. Yeah, it probably could. It probably could, even though it's so connected to the films. In particular with the two main characters, you just wouldn't have that that perspective of the past, because you'd want to know what happens. But the thing is, and they still do it, is that they show flashbacks. So we either have to create and film those flashbacks as if they're, as if you're, creating that universe, but the universe has been created from those films. So, yeah.
That scene we talked about this backstage for just a minute. There's a scene where you see a teenage Johnny Lawrence, and by God, I had to do a double take, because it looks amazing. It looks absolutely amazing. He looks like it's like they took a clip from the movie and superimposed his face, and it just looks perfect. It looks absolutely perfect. No bitching for me.
Yeah, and I think Sag is saying that it couldn't stand on its own. I actually disagree, because each season, builds off of the new characters and what the old characters are going through to work with the new characters. Got to remember, it's fathers and sons, mentors, passing down the knowledge, and it's so well done that it probably could stand on its own. It's just that we're so connected to the 80s lore of it. But yeah.
Showbag TJC with a $5 super chat says, "Shh, don't tell Mexican Iron Man, but I think you traded up with El Jefe Slantino. Alpskull." Thank you so very much, Shellbag TJC, for your $5 super chat. You guys keep the fires burning bright here in Valhalla, and this was just for you, brother. Skol!
Funny man, senor.
That's right. You have no idea how hard it was to get Mexican Iron Man to dress up like that. So it was so difficult. Man Squatch says the deep fake on this is 10 times better than Disney. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, when I was, sorry, Dave G Sounds hasn't given his perspective yet. My bad.
I'm not Dave G, but
sorry, Bob. Dave Bob. Sorry.
Sorry. Honestly, I think if you got grabbed in the first season, it could, be what it is. Being what it is, it could stand alone, but you would be doing yourself a disservice by not at least watching the first three. I mean, you just about have to me, without them, I just, I don't know if it could stand on its own, other than the fact that it is such a well written show that people coming in that didn't know anything about it, I think they actually could watch it and enjoy it without it. But uh, so much better if you have the background and the perspective of where they came from.
No, I agree. I agree. There's a scene. Um, there's a scene in the first season where you hear the flute from Karate Kid. It's the
Oh,
same music, and Daniel's at the grave of Miyagi, and that hit me. I mean, that really hit me. I love these. I loved these films when I was a kid. When I was in karate, um, I loved growing up watching more of them, and to hear that music anytime they do like a Mr. Miyagi thing. And in this season they do it too, where he goes into his room and he's like, I don't go in there. Daniel's like, I don't go in there. I don't walk in there. And his wife's like, you need to. And he goes in there. He's like, it's like a time capsule. Everything's exactly where it was when Mr. Miyagi passed away. And she tells him the story about Miyagi telling her, Daniel's son, Daniel's going to need you. And right before they got married, and it hits me every single time. It hits me. Those scenes it just hits me right in the chest, and I feel like I'm just gonna start crying right there. Yes, men can cry. Damn it. Um, I'm gonna get emotional and I'm gonna lose my shit because who didn't love Mr. Miyagi?
Yeah. The
I,
music is what does it with me when you
oh
get,
God, yes. Oh God,
So
yes.
I got and I'm gonna let you get it out, MB Geek. Um,
Oh, no worries.
I got first three seasons, the first 3 season soundtrack on vinyl. It comes with a Mr. Miyagi car that you put the records in. It's really cool. Each album has its own album art. It comes in a big red Cobra Kai cover. Plus, they put in a cassette tape.
Oh,
So you
nice.
get the soundtrack on a cassette tape. I mean, it's old school cassette tape. It's got the case, the full 9 yards. That was a bonus, but I mean, it's dude. Everything about this show is about honoring not just the what's coming and what's happening now, but everything in the past. Go ahead, MB Geek. Tell us, do you think it could stand on its own?
I would say this. When it comes to Cobra Kai, if you've not seen the Karate Kid movies 1 through 3, you can watch this show and not see them. But this is kind of where it's hard pressed for me because my wife and I have talked about this. This is one of those shows we talk about at lengths. It is very difficult. I think if you've never seen the Karate Kid movies and you just watch Cobra Kai, you get enough of the backstory that it's going to make you curious to what happened. And if you're someone like us who grew up on the Karate Kid movies, and my wife said in the chat, she mentioned, I wonder how enrollment in karate schools have gone since the show's come out. Uh, who knows but it was a show that inspired a lot of us to look at martial arts. And it just, when it comes down to it, we're learning so much more in depth about all these characters, everyone from Johnny to Danny to Mike Barnes to Kreese to all of them. We're learning so much more about them that when you rewatch the originals, the Karate Kid movies, you see things very differently now. And I actually enjoy that. I enjoy the fact that I'm seeing the characters a little differently now that I have more backstory. And I love how they've managed to connect so much of Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3, even though we all can probably agree 3 was probably the weaker of them, but even Ralph Macchio says he doesn't, remember much of it, but it's gotten to a point now with the last 2 seasons with Steel that it's kind of or Silver that it's like, oh, and then they brought in Mike Barnes, and I mean they brought the original actor back in, and I
Yeah,
mean
everybody's OG. Everybody
yeah,
that's come back
everybody's
is
OG. That
OG.
is, I mean, when I saw the mom in the first season, I was like, wait a minute, isn't that the OG mom? That's the
That is the
actual
mom.
actress.
Yes.
Yeah. And then they brought so many, and then you talk about they brought up the character. They actually introduced the character who, remember when the character Joe, the aunt, um, she was the one in Karate Kid 3, and she broke up with her boyfriend because of a character we didn't see on screen. And then what do we see? We actually get that character on screen in one of the episodes. It was rather hilarious. The one who stole the boyfriend, and then she got the boyfriend back, and that's why they went Dutch. And it was just so funny. I was really blown away. But when it comes down to it, it's really the curiosity I think is going to make people who've never seen the movies want to go see them. Because I thought one of the best episodes, if not the best episode, was the one where Johnny went biking with his buds from Karate
Yes.
Kid 1.
Yes.
I thought that was an absolutely beautifully written, amazingly done episode. And I was like, if that doesn't get people to want to go back and maybe watch, because we didn't know a lot about these. I mean, we didn't know they were still tight even after all this time. And it was just their friend is dying. One of the original members is dying, and they're like, we're taking him out. He's not dying in a bed. He's going to go out for one last ride. He's going to have fun, which he does. They get into a bar fight. They ride. They hang out. They have fun. He dies, probably having one of the best days he's had in years. I thought it was touching and heartbreaking.
Mr. Ticklechunk said Michael Ironside is still kicking. Absolutely. Nothing can take that man out. Would be great to see him again if Hilary Swank ever shows up. They threatened that. They threatened. They said, "Well, we're gonna bring her in place of." Someone was saying a couple seasons ago, in place of Daniel, she was going to take Daniel's spot, and I was like, "He's never going to leave the show." The show literally is anchored in him and Johnny.
Yep, those two are the heart of the show.
Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai. So, who thinks that Miyagi-Do and Cobra and Eagle Fang is going to be renamed Miyagi Fang Karate?
Actually, I do believe it or not, I said that. I asked my wife that same question. I'm not shitting you.
What were you going to say, Paulie?
Oh, speaking of that, I mean, how did that hit you in the feels when they asked him what your dojo's called, and Johnny Lawrence said Miyagi-Do?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was like, yeah.
And Daniel stepping in, going, "No, it's Eagle Fang too. We're both." So and Miyagi Fang. It's got to be Miyagi Fang. I can't think of. Go ahead.
They'll figure out a name. They'll
figure out something that's appropriate, something we won't even have thought about.
Miyagi's has to be in there. That it is the Miyagi. They call it the Miyagi verse. Do is not the name of some person. That's just the studio, the dojo, the do.
Yeah,
so,
the do.
Yeah.
Saggy says they have to explain how Julie and Daniel met.
Through Miyagi. I mean, it could be a simple. I mean, they've done so well with
Julie?
it. I would say a simple dialogue.
The Swank character?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure that'll. Yeah, I'm sure they're doing that pretty. They're doing it very effortlessly as far as the characters where they've been and how they're coming back into the world. But you're talking about the heart of the show in this season is Danny and Johnny, and how just really opposites they became. Because you think about this, Johnny not only has, and spoilers, guys, if anyone hasn't seen it, I'm gonna talk about some points in the show where Carmen gets pregnant, so he's gonna have a new kid. I mean, and then the funny stuff with that, and how he runs into Robbie's mom, and they have a moment. I thought that was really nice. But then he's got two. Excuse me. He's got two. Teenage sons, in the sense that he's got to deal with his own blood son, Robbie, and then of course Miguel, who you got to remember too, it was just him and Miguel for like the first couple seasons. No one wanted anything to do with Johnny, and how he remedies that is fantastic. And then he also gives Daniel advice, and he's there for Daniel. I mean, and he's not, and he's grown up the way Johnny grows up. He doesn't get emasculated. He's still Johnny Lawrence, but he's he's a man. He shows up for his family. It's fantastic.
And speaking of that, him going to get Miguel at the beginning of this season, we had no idea what was going to happen with Miguel. We had no idea whether he was going to find his dad or not. His dad ends up being like a I'm not going to say drug lord, but like a
crime boss.
Mob boss. He's like a mob boss. So Miguel's dad ends up being like a mob boss. Miguel is like losing it when Johnny shows up and is like, "Come on, we're going home," and they go home. And that's the end of that. I thought that was going to be like a whole season of things, and Miguel would like come back at the end or something. But I thought he was just going to be gone, and they didn't do it like that. What's your guys' favorite part of this season? We'll start out with Paulie, and we'll go around.
Well, I think storyline wise is what I talked about, because that's really been the payoff for me every season, except for season 4, was how these men grow up and teach martial arts and hand it down, and how they're role models, not only to their families, but to their students, which, Robbie is estranged from Johnny. Miguel has no dad. I mean, these are heavy issues. These are real issues as far as father and sons, men tutoring younger men to grow up. I think that really hit home a lot for me. Also because I teach martial arts, and it was wonderful to see, and it was wonderful. Besides all the kind of like the heightened reality of stuff, as far as the novella aspect, the soap opera aspect. I think for me, seeing Johnny just be who he what he's become compared to season 1 is fantastic for me.
No, I absolutely agree. I cannot disagree with that in any way, shape, or form. The growth of Johnny over the last 5 seasons has been tremendous. Going from cooking salami in a pan with hot sauce, which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with if you want a quick snack, but that's what he was living on, not being able to take care of himself, relying on other people, to having a successful business in Cobra Kai, coming back and using what he knows to better himself and to help these kids. You might have been able to argue that in the first season. You can't argue that now, that he has helped so many kids. Daniel immediately was like, "No, you're not bringing Cobra Kai back. You're going to ruin these kids. You're going to absolutely messing up." And he was giving these kids something to stand on when they had nothing. So, no, I completely agree with you, Paulie. Dave Bob, what was your favorite part of this season?
Well, the growth of all the characters is great, but for me it was chosen just to see how lonely his life had been, and how, he has, come to understand what has happened through the years, and he's, pretty much almost a monk. He just, closed himself off and everything, and him coming out like he did, bringing his personality out, and the humor in his humor and everything. I love that aspect of this season, with the growth of Chosen.
All right. And Saggy, if you're talking about in season 1, he was getting money from Sid. Sid kept writing him checks. He kept bailing him out every time something didn't work out, or Johnny lost his job, or Johnny needed money. But yeah, as far as now, this season, he's been doing Uber and getting 1 stars.
Dude, I'm here to pick
That
up
is so
Michael.
Johnny.
I'm here to pick up Michael. It's Michaela. Whatever.
There's supposed to be 6 breadsticks. He's like, oh, I ate one on the way over here.
1 star. Great stuff, man. Yeah, but that's the thing, is that either you can nitpick like that with this show, is that, well, where's he getting money from, and where's Daniel's son been, and now you just gotta forgive some of those little plot holes, and because it's so enjoyable.
I think in those cases we can go with the suspense of disbelief.
Yeah,
1-star Uber ratings. Yes, he's not going to be able to pay the bills like that. But he's got a world-renowned dojo with Daniel now. So I'm hoping, guys. I'm really hoping there's something that I read yesterday, and we'll pass it off to you and Biggie in just a minute. There's something I read yesterday that has me worried. They're not filming season 6. And almost every season of this, they have gone into filming as before the season releases. And I understand they ended it in such a way that you could go, you know what? If it ends like this, I'm okay with this. They didn't leave you on any kind of cliffhanger. The bad guys are the bad guys. We'll get into the Kree story in just a minute. Because that is really interesting in like a fact way. But they ended it in a point where you could go, you know what? I'm happy with this. If they don't, I'm okay with it. They didn't leave you on a super cliffhanger where you're going, no, I have to have more, but we still want more. We're like starving. We're like starving for great entertainment, and this is the great kind of great entertainment we want. So, favorite part of this season, MBG?
Honestly, I agree with Dave Bob a lot about Chosen. I would have to say that it was really interesting to get to know more of his background. But I have to really give it to Johnny. Thanks, honey. Yes, I know you told me. Like I said, my wife and I watched this together, and this is one of the few shows we absolutely love. What really got me was, this has been, I think, more of a growth for Johnny as much as it's been for Daniel. Whereas Johnny, has been at rock bottom and is now trying to build a life, and actually a life he's happy with. And Danny is kind of still a bit stuck in the past. And there's a moment where Danny is trying to get, Johnny to help him with the whole silver thing. And, Johnny's like, look, I'm done with this stuff. I don't care. I don't want to be a part of it. He's like, look, I don't know this silver. I didn't know him then. I don't know really now. I just want to be done with this. And he talks about, and then, but the growth in him is, when Carmen talks about, once Carmen eats that food and starts getting a little sick, I looked at my wife and I was like, are you thinking what I'm thinking? My wife's like, oh, she's not pregnant. I'm like, I think she is. I'm like, I think she is. and we find out she is pregnant, which I'm glad she was, because I thought it was a great plot. And then when he's, it's funny because my wife and I were talking about that scene where he's kind of acting, he's kind of freaking out and doing this stuff. And then Carmen is very calm and collective. And I told my wife, I was like, yeah, that was the exact opposite when we found out about our son. When we found out she was pregnant with our son, my wife was freaking out, and I was actually the one calm. I'm like, do you want me to go get you some birth control? Or not birth control, but a pregnancy test.
So that was your favorite part, was the beginning when they found out that Carmen was pregnant?
I think that really set a tone for Johnny, because I think this gives him, I mean, now he's not just thinking about, he's trying to mend with Robbie. He's trying to be a father to Robbie. He's trying to be father to Miguel. And now he's going to be a father again. And they're going to be brothers to either a boy or a girl. And I think, when he was in there and he was seeing that, it overwhelmed him a little bit. And I think one of my other YouTube friends said something that I really agreed with, because I think Johnny probably put this in his head when he started working on his apartment. So, you going to man up and do this, or are you going to be a little bitch and run away like you did last time? Because I think Johnny really feels that way about himself, that he failed as a father, and he is hell-bent. He's been trying to repair that damage with Robbie, and he does not want to do it with this new baby. And
I don't think I agree. I agree. And I love what Dean Krantz says here. Johnny wanting a refund for his condom is gold. Yes. We should have gotten more of him taking them from store to store, because this shit doesn't work. This shit doesn't work. I want my money back.
How about
go ahead.
How about when the two kids fight each other, and you thought, like they went upstairs on the balcony, you're like, oh no, right? They're doing their thing.
They're gonna do it again.
And that was fantastic, right? And they resolved their stuff. And then later on, Carmen comes in. These guys been fighting. What's going on? Oh, I was all supervised.
Yeah. It was all watchful eye.
But I told my wife, I said to my wife, I'm like, okay, they're boys. Sometimes, and I'm sorry that the NPC SJW mob can't get behind this. Men, we tend to fight, and we tend to get our aggression out through physical contact. We get it out. I mean, how many fights, I can't tell how many fights I got into that ended with, whoever won or lost, it's like, all right, let's go have a cigarette, or let's go have a Coke.
Yeah.
Well, that, and sometimes that's what's needed. I know Johnny doesn't want him fighting because they're going to be family. They're all going to be family. He doesn't want his boys fighting, beating the hell out of each other now.
Exactly.
So it's just when things, my favorite part of this season was the very end. So I worked corrections from 2006 until 2007. Later, I would take that up again as a chemical dependency counselor. But in 2007, I'm pretty sure it was 2007, we had a lockdown situation because a offender, and they called them offenders. They don't call them inmates anymore. At least that's what, 15 years ago, that's what they called them, was offenders. Because an offender during a riot-like situation was sent to medical. He had a set of green, I can't, not fatigues, but what they wear at the hospital. Scrubs. Okay. So what he had done was he had taken his white trustee outfit and colored that green. He'd actually been able to color that green and he changed into those scrubs while he was in medical, walked out of medical, picked up a ID somehow, walked right out the picket. So in prisons, you have a picket. There will be a door with a officer in a sealed off area, kind of like a cubicle with plastic between them. You get your keys. He walked up, held up his badge. They buzzed him through, and this guy walked out of the prison, walked right out the front door, and then got picked up. He got picked up on the road as he was walking by a corrections officer that worked at said prison, and that corrections officer drove him into town. True story. Actually happened, because they locked down all the prisons when someone walks out like that. Immediate lockdown. But all they had to do was get a green Sharpie and color their scrubs, their whites, green, and he just walked right out with an ID badge. And the officer in the picket was fired because they didn't even look up to see the badge. They just saw that badge go up on the wall, and they buzzed him through and let him out. That actually happened. So seeing this made me wonder, did they do their homework? Did they do their homework and actually go, you know what? This is an absolutely wonderful story. We'll bring him into medical. And it's Jello, it's red Jello, whatever, red Jello paste, and he beats the crap out of the two guards and takes Homeboy's outfit and just walks out with his little badge. That is the one thing that is one thing that isn't correct though. He would have had to go through some kind of picket with an actual live person that would let him out. So going like into a parking garage like that, they would never let him out like that. He'd have never had like, just a swipe. But everything else has happened, which is, to me, was absolutely amazing. I love the end of that.
Yeah, what's kind of funny is he would probably have been going to get out anyway.
Yeah, with Silver in jail. With Silver in jail and Silver, them catching Silver, yeah.
Yeah, and his accuser recanted, so.
Yeah, and you never see Johnny or Daniel's reaction to Kreese broke out of jail. Kreese just walked out of jail. You let him walk out of jail? Oh, yeah, we let him walk out of jail. Based on a true story, folks. I don't know if they looked it up. I don't know what if this is something they were like, wow, he just changed the color of his thing, walked out like he was a nurse. But yeah, it's happened. I know it's happened.
My favorite part of this whole show, I mean, I'm kind of shallow. Don't judge me, but when Chosen's drunk, and he's talking to Daniel about all that stuff, and he says how much he really admired I can't remember her name, Kimakia, what his girlfriend over in Japan, and he says, "What do you need?" Yeah, Komiko. For some reason, I couldn't bring that up. Anyhow, when he's on the phone, leaving her a message, and at the end,
gives her a drug dial.
Yeah, he just kind of realizes what he just did. Okay, bye.
I thought the drunk dial thing was so hilarious. I'm like, here's an old Okinawa man doing a drunk dial, telling, kind of a woman how he feels about her after all this time. And I'm like, yeah, I could see that. I've done enough drunk dials in my day.
So I want to get your guys' final thoughts before we get out of here. But before that, I just got sent something.
Yeah, and I got a little something too.
A
little something on Cobra Kai.
Let me pull this up really quick. It's uploading. Here we go. From Man Squatch. Alf does not exist in this dojo.
Oh my god.
So, thank you, Man Squatch.
You guys are brutal to my boy Mexican, man. Brutal.
We love Mike. We love Mike. Absolutely
Yeah.
love Mike. So
Mike
what you
Taylor.
got, Paulie?
Well, I knew that Tyrone Woodley was one of the new senseis. I did not know also Wonder Boy was in it. So you had two actual MMA champs. Well, Woodley was a champ. Wonder Boy never got the title as of yet. That were part of that new gang of senseis from overseas. So those guys were great. Those guys, let me send you. I mean, just if you just look up Tyrone Woodley Cobra Kai, you'll see who I mean. He's in it a lot. But yeah, though I thought those overseas senseis were a nice touch, and they created some good fights towards the end. But yeah, just a little bit of trivia. Tyrone Woodley and Wonder Boy Thompson are MMA champs, and they were in the show. That was pretty cool.
Awesome. What are your final thoughts on the season? Did you want to see more, Paulie?
My final thoughts on the season is it's just perfect television entertainment. It's so bingeable that it's very hard to resist, especially with nowadays. You can't imagine if it was like you had to wait week to week. Great television, great season. So many old school and the new characters. I was very satisfied with what they all were going through. Sam, Tori, Rob, and Miguel, spot on. And then of course the legacy characters, just totally enjoyable and totally some great emotional payoffs and some laughs too. Yeah.
All right, Dave Bob, final thoughts on this season, and do you think they should do another one?
They left it open to where it's entirely possible. But they just hit all the right notes all the way through. All the characters, their arcs, they've pretty much ended it where they could all, it would end and you would be satisfied. But they have left it open with the tournament over in Japan. That could be the focus of the next season.
All right. MB Geek.
I would say this season was probably one of the best as far as character growth for both the legacy characters and the new characters we gotten to know. We've gotten to know so much more about Sam, Tori, hell, even sorry, even Sam's brother got in the last two seasons more screen time. And like I said in the beginning, I felt this was a season about, people healing. And that's what I've seen a lot of. My thoughts for what I think would be the last season would be season 6, at least for this incarnation, is I think this would be the season where Robbie wins. He goes to this world tournament, and don't ask me to say it because I can't pronounce it. But I think this would be the one he would win. And maybe Sam, if they have, a girls and guys competition. But I think that's how it would end. And maybe also with Johnny and Carmen getting married. I think if they ended it that way, it would be a truly, prophetic ending. But if not, and this is all we get, okay, I'll take it.
All right. I pretty much agree with all of you. The character growth, the action, even the drama. You know what? I'm not the kind of guy that's like, oh my God, I want to watch a soap opera with my girlfriend. Oh my God, let's sit down and watch Young and the Restless. No, I'm not. But I don't, the angst. There's angst in this show. There is some teenage angst because they're teenagers. So you got, Miguel and Sam having their issues, and you got Tori and Robbie having their issues, and seeing everybody come together. Seeing the party scene, I thought this was absolutely great for that little aspect of the show. But even that, it doesn't bother me at all. I'm like glued to the TV. I'm watching. I want action. I want excitement. Having the oh my god, kids are kissing, whatever. I don't give a shit about that. But it's not like it puts me off in any way. There are shows where I'm like, oh my god, they're really good to go there, and you're like, oh my god, I'm like totally with this guy, and then I'm totally with this guy, and blah blah, and you're just like whatever. But no,
it's not done like as a CW,
Yeah, Pretty Little Liars or some shit like that.
It's hey, you break up with Miguel's gonna hook up at his own party. What up?
That's right.
That was a thing my wife even said when Sam showed up and Miguel was making out with that chick, and it's like, okay, you pulled the "I want to be friends" thing. And I was like, oh God. Even my wife's like, oh God, this never works out good.
No, it absolutely doesn't. It never works out. It's one of those things that neither party should go there, and you should just what, you've got feelings, deal with them or break up. Either way, figure your crap out. So. I think I'm hoping there will be a season 6. I really am. I'm hoping there will be a season 6. They haven't started filming yet, which worries me a little bit because that's not their usual MO. Usually by the time these come out, they are filming already the next season. But I'm having faith Netflix isn't going to be a complete idiot and cancel the show here. I'm hoping that they get a season 6. So I'm just waiting. Hold on, brother.
Sorry.
I'm just waiting for confirmation. I think we're all waiting for confirmation. And once we get that, I'm going to be over the moon that we're going to get either one more or maybe 2 more. I don't know. Can they go 7 seasons? Who knows? I hope they can. I want to thank Paulie, Latino Slant. Thank you so very much, brother, for coming on this morning.
Yeah, man.
Like I said in the beginning of this show, you were the first person I messaged. You're the first person I reached out to. As soon as I heard, I was like, yes. Yeah. I've never heard that in another movie before. So I was bouncing up and down. I was like, holy shit, how did they do that? Is Robert Rodriguez a fan? Is he a fan? And he was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. I don't care.
Well, that's technically not his song. It's publishing rights. It's a Los Lobos song. They wrote and owned that song. So I mean, listen, they've got a lot of rock songs and other songs that we know. They've got whoever does their licensing music for all their episodes is fantastic.
Yes.
And head banging is all whenever they're going down the road listening to the music.
Yeah. But I think that was a great touch, and I think the whole Mexico stuff was just out of control. But it was that was an emotional payoff. I mean, Miguel was at his lowest, and Johnny found him. Fantastic. Let's go home. But Miguel had to find out about his father. He had
to see it for himself.
He had to, and it's better that you do it as a young man, because that's when you're longing, like, where's mother at? Who am I? As opposed to later in life where, it's great. It's great. And yeah. I like that actor. I'm very familiar with the actor who played the dad. It's a good actor too. That was because he was charming, and then he was menacing, and he was just a piece of crap. So
yeah,
I'm gonna Dave Bob. Thank you, Dave Bob, for being here, brother.
I actually reached out to you because this show was such a surprise to me. Like I said, I came into it late. I didn't start watching it till last season, and I was blown away.
So have I been. MB Geek, thank you so much for being here, brother. MB Geek, you reached out to me too and was like, I would love to be a part of this. So thank you. Thank you everybody for being here. Thank you everybody in chat. You guys are absolutely wonderful. We could not do this each and every week without each and every one of you. You guys have been absolutely great. Thank you so very much. We will be back later tonight. I think tonight, God help me, maybe tomorrow, Wednesday. Everything's kind of running together at the moment, but thank you guys so very much. And be great, be excellent to each other. Always speak friend to enter and stay humble, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great one.
Bye.
These videos are tremendous. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hammer that notification bell.